I'm Jack Payne, and you're listening to the Tools of the Trade podcast.
Welcome, please welcome
to another episode of the Tools of the Trade podcast, your number one construction industry resource. Hear conversations with industry professionals to get the tools, stories, and advice that you need to set your career on fire. You're now streaming the Tools of the Trade podcast.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Netsurance Canada. Get instant online quotes for insurance and bonds, even from a cell phone. Guys, it really is that simple. Just head over to netsurance.ca. That's NETSURANCE.ca for all of your insurance and bonding needs. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tools of the Trade. If this is your first time listening, as always, thank you for making your way here to be with us for another great interview. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and join in on the conversation at toolspodcast.com. Today's guest is an incredible young residential custom home builder and renovator from King City, Ontario, Jack Payne of Payne Contracting. I've been following Jack's progression and his daily vlogs on Instagram and YouTube, which is what inspired me to reach out. I wanted his story. He's an incredible guy. We recorded this episode on site at one of his custom homes that is boarded up and approaching the finish line as we speak. And Jack designs all of his projects, which was amazing to see in and of itself, but it was his positive attitude and his mentality about quality and relationships that have stuck with me since recording this conversation. Jack won Contractor of the Year in 2019. He is extremely wise for his age, and there's no doubt in my mind that you will see Jack continue to grow into a large household name here in the GTA. You can find Jack on Instagram at Payne Contracting. That's Payne Contracting. And you can find this episode on our website at toolspodcast.com/Payne Contracting. Now let's get into the story.
Jack, buddy, thanks. It's been awesome meeting you this morning. I was looking forward to this conversation for a while now. I know we've been trying to get together. I think you should start by telling everybody where we're sitting right now.
So we're at my new build in King City. It's my first new build. We're sitting in the living room here, but it's a little cold outside, so might as well come inside where it's nice and warm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a clean job site. There's so many intricate little details that I noticed right off the bat. It's cool. I've never recorded on location yet, so thanks for having me. This is really cool. The place I wanted to start with this podcast was to get a feel for your backstory. And I wanted to know where you grew up and what your childhood was like and maybe your early influences in construction.
So I grew up in King City. Pretty much growing up, helping my dad mow the lawn, stuff like that, doing hands-on. I've always been more hands-on, I felt like. Didn't like school very much. Skipped school as much as possible without trying to get in trouble with my mom. But pretty much how I got into it there, shop class with my high school teacher pretty much is what got me really into the trades. That was pretty much my first step. Growing up, like most kids, they go back and forth on picking what they really want to do. One time I actually wanted to be a chef at one point, right? But still working with your hands, right? And then after went into more landscaping, wanted to do that. And then also golf course design. I was thinking about doing that. So everything was within working with your hands, also designing, stuff like that. And that's pretty much how I got here.
Golf course design. How did you come to think of that? I've never even thought of that. That's cool.
I wanted to do that entering high school. I took all like the tech design and stuff like that classes. Because I thought, I love golf, still do, but that is something I really had an interest in, just landscape design and stuff like that. And then after doing more shop classes and stuff like that, I learned that I didn't really want to be on the computer as much. And that's where I went down the path of construction.
Cool. And so shop classes, is that like woodwork class, metal class, things like that?
Yeah, so I'm grateful that the high school I went to had every class you can think of for the trades. They had a mechanic class, like I said, the tech design, woodworking class. They pretty much had it all, which I've heard that they've cut back a lot, which is kind of sad to think about because without that, I wouldn't be in this position. But yeah, the main class was wood shop, millwork and stuff like that. My first big project, I guess, to me was big at the time, was a shed. in I think it was grade 11. And it took me a long time just to build one shed. I'm pretty sure it took me like a couple months to build one shed in shop class. I know it was only once a day for like an hour, but still, it's just funny where you come from when you start, you know?
Yeah, I think back to my shop classes. It's usually little things like you're building little boxes or like paper holders, stuff like that. You bring home to your parents.
Yeah. So I was grateful. My teacher pretty much said, if you want to pay for the materials, you can build whatever you want in the class. So millwork wise, the biggest I got was like a big bench, raised paneling, all that stuff. So we use routers, all that sort of things. But you also had the people in the class that wanted to be there and the people that were just there for the credits. You know what I mean? So it was fun.
And then coming out of high school, what brought you into the trade world? So were you classically trained? Did you go to trade school for carpentry, or walk me through kind of the next chapter after high school?
Pretty much leaving high school, I'm pretty sure my parents really wanted me to get a degree of some sort. They were really pushing me to go to university and stuff like that, which most parents are these days. And I can see why they were a little hesitant on letting me go to, trade school. So I ended up going to George Brown. They supported me all the way, but it took a little bit more convincing, I would say. And George Brown was a good pick for me because it had that hands-on experience that I wanted. After going through the program, to be honest, there's a lot that it could improve on. A lot of the students there that go into the program not even knowing how to swing a hammer, right? So the first year in George Brown was kind of like my grade 10 shop class in comparison. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but met a lot of people there. Two of my employees I went to school with at George Brown, so that's a good part of it. But another thing is they also have like degree programs for like construction management, so which would be good for like the commercial guys and stuff like that for estimating and stuff. But the program at George Brown is very well rounded, and I still believe it's probably the best trade program that I know of in Ontario. There's a lot that it can improve on, but for anyone going out of that program, they know a little bit about everything, which is really good.
What do you think they could improve on? What do you think is missing?
I think there's just too much red tape involved. I do believe in safety 100%, and like I'm always like the one to be safety, but they take it to another level, like that you can't even use a circular saw without like clamping your piece to a table, and you know what I'm saying? Like you can't put it on your shoe and just cut. You'd get kicked out of the class for that. You know what I mean? But that is something that if you took some of the safety protocols and things that they have in that program and brought it to the real world, your boss would laugh at you. And I'm not saying being reckless is the way, but there's a part where you need to make money as well. So I just feel like they need to bring more construction contractors into it rather than teachers.
Right. Was your teacher from the field?
Yeah, but most of them are retired and don't have the new knowledge of like what's coming up. For example, like Schluter. You think any of those profs probably know about Schluter? Probably not.
Right.
Right. So they have their old methods in their head, and that's the only way to do it. Probably the biggest example I can give in my carpentry class at George Brown, my teacher was trying to convince everyone that nail guns weren't good and we should be hand nailing everything. Right? So that just shows you he's still in that mindset that you have to hand nail everything. Okay, so now imagine if we had to hand nail this whole house by hand rather than use nail guns. I'm pretty sure it would take longer than the 8 weeks it did.
Yeah.
So
we'd still be sitting in here with no walls, no windows.
You know what I mean? So I feel like they just need to hire some younger guys and ones that know different. A lot of people don't want to keep learning. Every day I like learning. You know what I mean? And I hope I never lose that because I always like trying new things, new methods. Yeah, they might not be good, they might be great, but I'm always evolving. And I feel like that's what's lacking in trade schools is they're not evolving with the times.
Yeah, it's definitely something I noticed as well going through trade school, but it's almost as if they need to be having more, I don't know if it would be field experience days, but like you mentioned, if it's not going to be a classically trained older professor that's teaching the class, at least having maybe some of the new tool manufacturers and some of the new methods coming in and showing the guys like Schluter putting on a class.
You are right in that. I do think the brands need to step it up as well. I feel like they need to introduce their products to people that don't know anything rather than go right to the pro that knows everything in their head already. Because these are people that are going to stick with your program their entire life because that's all they know at that point. I'm a Schluter guy, but let's say in school, if Schluter came in and taught everyone in the class the first day of Schluter, I guarantee you every single student leaving that program, their first bathroom would be using Schluter. I guarantee it because that's what they know and it's done properly. So even tools, Festool and Milwaukee and all these brands, they need to get their tools in the classroom because the second they leave their program and they go to buy a tool, they're going to the one that they know.
Which is whatever the school got a deal on.
Whatever the school got a deal on.
Yeah.
So I think brands need to step up their game as well in that department.
I think also too, if you come in there and you had a pack out set and you had a radio and you had all this new stuff to show the young guys and girls that are in the classes what they're actually going to be using and how much fun it can be. And tools is a lot of the reason why people get started. If they're able to showcase that, and like you mentioned, they're going to have potentially a client for life, but they're also going to get more people interested outside of the physical building aspect, just the whole aspect of the trade, which is the purchasing of the tools and the using them. And you become partisan to one specific brand. And it would just be a cool feature to bring in there. And we've talked about this a lot on this podcast, and I have a lot of sidebar conversations with people about making the industry more appealing. And it's up to all of us, right? Like you mentioned, if these manufacturers are coming straight to the pros, they're not helping change the image for the younger generation, right? And that's where we come into play, and I think it's everybody's responsibility. So I'm not sure what we can do to push them in there, but maybe somebody from Milwaukee is listening. And
funny you say that. Milwaukee, the reason why I'm actually a Milwaukee guy is because to go back, my shop teacher encouraged me to do a skills competition in Ontario for carpentry. We had to build like a pergola within 6 hours, you know. I ended up coming third place in Ontario for that competition, and I was grade 11 and everyone else was grade 12 in that competition. The tools given that day were all Milwaukee tools. And that is why I'm a Milwaukee guy, because that's all I knew. After doing that skills competition, went home, told my parents, you know, like that's what I want to do. Coming that Christmas, the tools I got were the Milwaukee tools because that's what I wanted, because that's what I knew. And I had them in my hand and I knew that they were good tools.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you make your way through trade school and then you're faced with the challenge of working for somebody, getting a job with a contractor. So what was that process like, and where did you start your career outside of school?
So I actually started my career before college. My first contractor job was the summer going into college, so end of grade 12. And I worked for a contractor. And, you know, you'll learn some good things and you'll learn some bad things from everybody, right?
Of course, yeah.
But I actually am happy that all the contractors I got to work with, I've taken more of their bad habits and learned from them than taking their good ones. And I feel like that's what most people need to do is, let's say you're working for someone that's a bad boss and stuff like that. You got to take something good from that in a way. I'm not saying it's great working for bad people, but working from bad people is you learn what not to do and you learn how to better yourself as a contractor when you want to open up your own place. So working for some contractors, I really learned some really good things from them and some really bad things.
Do you have an example of something bad you picked up that you've kind of turned around?
Probably the biggest is ethics. I feel like that's one thing that's really lacking in our business is a lot of contractors, they rip off clients, a lot of contractors. I don't know if it's just a stigma, but they tend to care about themselves more than anything else. But that goes to any trade. Like, even doctors and stuff like that, there are some obviously doctors that are there for the money as well, right? So I'm not just saying it's a contractor thing, but it's hard to say, but
Say it.
pretty much it's just they need to not really care about the paycheck. And that's really what those two contractors I worked for did. And that's all that mattered to them. And at the end of the day, there are jobs that I'll lose just because of ethics, in my opinion, that I tell them, don't waste your money on this. Where another contractor would come in, it's, oh yeah, that's a great idea, let's do it. Give me all your money. So pretty much when it comes down to it is, I feel if you are an ethical person, you will be busy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And people, that type of mentality, I think, only lasts so long when you're unethical. Before we started recording, we were having breakfast, you were talking about the starting of a business, of a contracting company, the overheads, the costs, and you mentioned a story about the client that you just signed a contract with in terms of holdback.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? Because it kind of, I think that may come from what we just talked about.
Yeah. So I had a client meet with me, and pretty much what I got from it was they were asking me questions, pretty much hinting at, what if you screw me? And that's actually the first time I've ever been hit with that. But it pretty much brings insight that they have the mentality that I'm going to, I'm not going to say it, F someone, you know, like, where I don't really think that way at all. But I guess it's just the market that we're in, that they assume that a contractor is going to screw someone. So yeah, that's it.
And they were looking to hold back, or potentially thinking that they heard from other people that they should be holding back money from you.
Yeah, they pretty much said that like, is it a thing that they have to hold back money just in case a house is leaned against them? So.
And do you think that comes from unethical contractors and the way?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. The last two contractors I worked for, I'm not going to name them, but they're prime examples. And those are people that have zero ethics, and those are reasons why I'm being asked those questions, is because of these people.
Yeah. How does it make you feel?
I don't blame these homeowners. A lot of people blame these homeowners for being stupid and stuff like that because of these TV shows. But I don't blame these people either, because TV shows like this are reason, like DIY shows, they're the reasons why a lot of these homeowners actually want to rent out their house. I feel like it's a boost in the market, even though some people say they're making it sound like, oh, it can be done overnight and stuff like that. But everyone knows that these days people don't have an attention span. No one's going to watch a 3-hour episode on their house. They're going to do it in half an hour, of course, because no one's going to sit on the TV and watch an episode for 3 hours. They're going to sit there for half an hour. So at the end of the day, I feel like homeowners have a bad vibe from contractors, and homeowners have a bad vibe towards the contractor. It goes both ways. And like you were saying before, one bad client can screw it up for the contractor, and one good contractor can make a day for the homeowner. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. I think you're right. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because it is easy to see some of these shows where they're only showing what the bad contractor did to the homeowner and how unfortunate it was and all the damage. And a lot of that damage is embellished. In a lot of cases, it may not be as bad as people think, and they don't know any better. So they see that and they say, oh, this is going to happen to me. But then you're right. You get this wave of people that see all these immaculate houses being renovated and built, and next thing you know, they're all hot and they want to go build. And that's it helps. It's a give and take. Yeah. I think personally, there needs to be a better job of awareness on both parties for what it's actually like. And this is a topic that I don't know we're going to get to the bottom of anytime soon, but it seems to come up a lot. Like, how can we educate both parties?
To be honest, I feel like the homeowner just needs to go through it at the end of the day. Homeowners that have gone through renos understand, I feel. The ones that have never renovated before in their life are more clueless, but that goes the same way as a contractor. If you're a contractor and you're going in for your first bathroom, like my first bathroom, I obviously didn't know as much as I know now, right?
Yeah.
And there's certain things I look for that I saw from my mistakes. And that's the same way a homeowner is going to do it. They're going to go by, what didn't I like about that last contractor? And I'm hiring this new contractor. They're looking for certain things, and a contractor is looking for certain things. It just comes with past experiences and knowledge on the subject, as in going through it. Reading about it is never going to change anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, even if you read
Yeah.
about the horror stories until
Yeah.
it happens, most people have the mentality it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah. And that's the same way. And same way that with the contractor, I feel like a big thing that is lacking as well is contractors aren't protecting themselves. For my jobs, I write up contracts and stuff like that to protect myself and the homeowner. I don't do it just to protect myself at the end of the day. And I feel like not a lot of contractors are doing that for the homeowner. I feel when you go to a homeowner's house and you present them with a client, it adds a little bit more comfort and professionalism. So
Definitely. One of the things that does fall by the wayside in this industry a little bit, unfortunately. So you've made your way through a couple contractors, and you're a relatively young guy. You're how old, 21?
22.
22. How does somebody at the age of, how old were you when you started?
I was 16.
16. But what about when you started your company?
So I was 19 when I started my company.
Like, that's got to be a big decision to make at 19 to say, I'm going to go out on my own. And obviously, most people are naive when they get into business about how it's actually going to be. Walk me through your mentality as it came to starting your company.
Biggest mentality was right away, I didn't care about the money. And I knew I wasn't going to make money for a while. I'd rather take the loss now when I'm 19 and I don't have a mortgage and all that stuff than when I'm 30 years old and I got a family or something like that. That is going to increase my stress level. So I said, take the fall now, take the hit now. The only thing I have to get over is getting clients to trust me. And obviously, who's going to trust a 19-year-old? So that's why I grew a beard. But I feel like it comes down to confidence. If you aren't confident and take hum and haw over, not knowing what to do and stress over what not going to do, then you're going to come into problems. If you're confident that you can do it, you can. But at the end of the day, you just got to know that you're going to take losses to make clients happy. You're going to screw up at the beginning, 100%, but you got to let that fall on you. And you got to take initiative and say, that's my fault, not the client's. I'm not going to charge them for that. And you got to take the hit. And that's all comes back to ethics at the end of the day.
You're right. It's your moral compass that will lead the way at the end of the day. Do you think that you were gifted with the entrepreneurial mindset and spirit, which is what set you out on this journey? Or what made you want to start your own company and not go and try and work for the biggest and best builder in the GTA?
I'd say the biggest thing is seeing my past experiences with other builders. So I worked in subdivision as well. I think the subdivision thing is what put me over the edge. I worked subdivision for like 3 months, and pretty much I had to leave there because of how bad I felt for the homeowners getting these houses that were built just terribly. Like, I've never seen a house built so bad in my life. And going through that, seeing how only 10% of the houses are inspected and how it's almost like everything's politics, I felt like I needed to change the industry in just to sleep at night, knowing that my work is done properly and knowing that my clients are happy and they get a product that they actually want. Because at the end of the day, these people buying all these homes, they don't see what's behind their walls, but I do. And that's pretty much what pushed me to do it on my own, is because I can sleep at night knowing that I've given a product that I'm proud of.
One of the things that you mentioned in one of your daily vlogs, it was the vlog actually when this house started and you came in and you had the prints. And one of the things that stuck out to me in what you were saying to the camera towards the end was, I'm going to build a high quality home that's going to last forever for this client with no issues.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say built on time, quality builders, they have all these slogans and mantras that they're constantly pushing on their social medias and their websites. But it seems to me that again is just a testament to your ethics and the fact that why wouldn't you want to be in the business to build the best thing possible? You would want it for yourself.
Yeah. Like having the ethics I have, you're not going to make as much money as having someone that just wants to get in and out.
But maybe in the beginning.
At the end of the day, a lot of people treat this like a sprint and not a marathon.
Right.
So they have eyes on now, and not 5 years, where in my mindset, I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about 5, 10 years, 20 years down the line. I don't really care if I take a loss today, as long as I know it's going to be beneficial for me in the future. And a lot of contractors and people don't think like that. So that's why their ethics are so low, because they don't care about what happens. Well, I shouldn't say they don't care. They're not thinking about what happens in 5 years. And, oh, if this client sues me, if this word gets out that I screwed this person, they don't think like that. And that just goes on them. And I don't know what else to say about that, but it happens so much in this industry.
For sure. So the whole ethical thing got you started. You couldn't sleep at night. You wanted to start a company to change the industry. Thank you for that, first of all. I think we need more people that are doing that in construction in general, because from the guy that's renovating just a bathroom up to a large commercial contractor, it's common. Politics, all that stuff. Now that you're here and it's been a few years and you are in the trenches, you've had some mistakes, you've had obviously good times as well. What's it really like owning a company? What would you say to any of these young guys that are kind of in the same position that are thinking of starting?
I'm going to be straight with you. Not everyone should own a business. It takes a lot of overtime. There's a lot of times where I'm putting in 80 hours a week, 70 hours a week, and I'm making less than my employees, right? So it takes a lot of will. If you're starting a company, it can't be about the money. It can't be. If you make it about the money, then you're just not in the right area. Because I get asked multiple times a week by DMs and stuff on Instagram, oh, what trade makes the most money? I'm sorry, if you're asking that question, you don't care, right? I went into contracting because I enjoyed it. I work on weekends and stuff because I like to, not because I'm just making extra money. If you're owning a company, you have to be willing to work literally 24/7. It just has to happen. You can't just turn off your phone on a weekend and a client calls you and you just don't answer because it's the weekend. So that's the mindset people have to get into. If you're willing to do that, then go ahead. You should own your own company if you're willing to work all the time and you're not there for the paycheck. If you want a paycheck every 2 weeks and be safe, you should work for someone.
Now, obviously, with the 24/7 work ethic of owning a company to grow it, that comes with a lot of pressure, stress, potential anxiety, because you may have a problem on the back end of the business as well as a problem that's client facing in a build. Do you have any tips or tricks that you deploy to manage your stress levels when things get crazy?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not that good at that. And I don't know that many people that are. Stress is just a part of the business. Pretty much what I like to think is everything happens for a reason. And I had a phone call one time with Jeff Harvey. I haven't even told him this, but...
Sorry, who is Jeff Harvey?
Jeff Harvey is the framer who did this house.
Okay.
Harvey Homes and Interiors.
Yeah.
I had one phone call with him. And what he said to me in this phone call was kind of opened it up for me. And at this time, I had 4 projects on the go at once. And I was just losing my head, okay? He pretty much said to me these words that it's hard now, but the next time you do it, it's easier. And that stuck with me he told me that maybe a year ago. And that is one thing that I think about every time I'm stressed. Anytime that it's difficult, you just think that if you do it again or the next time this happens, it's going to be easier than now. So that's what pushes me to move forward.
Yeah. The brighter side is coming. It's always coming. What do you think, or do you have a favorite failure that you can talk about in business? It could be client related, it could be building related, that also has shaped the way that you think about things. Do you have any major pitfalls, or not necessarily major, that have shaped your mentality that you learn from, that you're like, man, I'm never letting that happen again?
I don't think any one point has ever changed me dramatically. I think learning from other people's mistakes and just hearing other people's stories has influenced me the most, but not one issue that I've had has influenced me dramatically. Of course, I make mistakes, but not one incident has influenced me more than any other mistake. And everyone makes mistakes, but I don't think one thing has ever shaped me more than anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, one of the other areas that seems to be growing in its own right, and we chatted about this, for some reason it seems to be more of an East Coast kind of thing, is the rise of social media. And that's through Instagram and through YouTube. And a lot of people are starting to showcase their work, and you record some very cool daily vlogs that are on your YouTube page, and you've got quite a few followers on Instagram now. How did that come about for you to start marketing your company on Instagram? And do you have any advice on how to take the social media path for contractors?
So I started my Instagram in like 2015, so pretty early. And the main reason I got Instagram was a portfolio. The first couple of years, even to today, I don't post that many photos of myself. I post more photos of my work, and I let that speak for itself. So what I've used Instagram for is a portfolio, a resume to a client. Before they meet me, I make sure they see my Instagram, 100%. I made that so they wouldn't look at my age and my work instead. So that's what made me get Instagram. I know a lot of people are not in the same boat as I am, like a lot of older people that don't have Instagram. That's not a reason why they're going to get it, obviously. But I feel if you don't have Instagram, you're losing out, because a lot of clients want to see your work on a digital platform rather than you come over to their house and show them pictures. It just adds a level of professionalism that sets you apart nowadays. Back then it set you apart as in, oh, he's in the future, rather than now, if you don't have it, you're in the past.
Interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Never thought about it that way. And so I think some people have the misconception that you're going to start an Instagram account, you're going to get followers, and then you're going to be getting direct work from Instagram, as if people are on Instagram looking for contractors. And I'm sure that happens here and there. If somebody is up late at night and they're searching hashtags and they come across your company and they like what they see. But like you mentioned, it's more of a portfolio. Do you think that the modern day website is almost dying in that regard?
100%. 100% dying. I don't know one person that has found me off of Google on the website. When you Google search Payne Contracting, the Instagram link comes up first. It's not the website. See, with the thing with a website is it's not personalized, where an Instagram page, you can DM me, get a response within 20 minutes or something like that, and connect with me, comment on my posts, have a chat. It adds another level of intimacy towards the client. You get a conversation with them rather than them just seeing words on a website.
Yeah, or a little message box that pops up with artificial intelligence that's saying, please enter your email.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I get it. It's interesting you say that. So along with showcasing your work, you also do the vlog thing. And then I've seen that you post quite a few videos of production of windows and doors and things like that. Is that also to help show people where you're getting things from and that added level of professionalism? How did you decide to throw that into the mix?
Kind of started more for fun, I think, at the beginning. But I think you hit it on the nail there. It's more for professionalism. to show that I'm not hiding anything. What you see is what you get. That's what I'm trying to show with that. And that all the trades or companies that I'm using are reputable and know what they're doing. That's what I pretty much like to show, that when you hire Payne Contracting, you're not just hiring me, you're hiring my team. You're hiring Corey's Plumbing, my plumber. You're hiring Jeff, the framer. Like, you know what I mean? You're getting a team. You're not just getting an individual person, which makes me special, I think.
Cool. So you mentioned that you use the social media as your portfolio, and that if people are to do a Google search, that the Instagram's coming up. So how do people find you for the other work that you do, for renovations, for bathrooms? If people aren't able to find a website through SEO on Google, how are you getting the majority of your work?
So most of it's through Instagram and word of mouth. I'd say the biggest is Instagram, but it all starts somewhere else. So for example, like someone says, hey, this guy did my house, check him out on Instagram. And then the Instagram is what throws it over the edge. And they're like, I want him. Right? So Instagram is pretty much a deal breaker, in my opinion. They've heard about me, they look at the page, and then they're like, he does good work, he cares about what he does, and then I want him to do it. And then they DM me, and then we go forward from there.
So it's kind of a word of mouth scenario. People are finding you through that path.
Yeah, but without the Instagram, I don't think it would be as powerful, because just trusting someone's compliment, oh, he did a good job here, is not going to seal the deal. But when they see the page and they see that I don't hide anything, it makes it more unique.
Yeah, they get the behind the scenes look. So you mentioned that a client is hiring a team, and that's true. You are obviously the front face of the team to obtain the contract. And then from there on, the client is seeing all of your subs. And subs obviously play a big role. And you talk very highly of your subs, which you should. They do great work for you, and they are the blood and the lifeline of your business. They're putting it all together for you. They're the one that's making you look good. How do you find your sub trades?
Most of them are on Instagram. My electrician, my plumber, all found on Instagram. Again, it shows that transparency. I get to see their work before I actually meet them. And like you say, I really highly value my subcontractors. Without them, I'm literally nothing. I can't put in a shower fixture, rough-in and stuff like that. And I don't know what to do with the panel when it comes to electrical. They're the ones behind the scenes that really make everything come together. I'm designing all the projects and stuff like that, and scheduling and all that. But without their help, this wouldn't even be possible.
Cool. Now, this house we're sitting in here, I noticed has a ton of details, and I noticed the baseboards are crazy, and you've got the Aria vents, and there's just a lot of really cool features. And I asked you who designed it, and you said yourself. Where does your inspiration come for the building?
So every room has its own little inspiration, I would say. Not one certain object has come from a certain place in inspiration, but for example, if you've seen on my Instagram, I traveled to Denmark recently. Traveling to places like that, you kind of get inspiration, but you kind of save them in your head for down the line. So this house is things that I've saved in my head for years, that I've seen in pictures on Instagram, or I've seen other people do in person, going to see other people's houses. What I like, what I don't like, I kind of store in the back of my head. And if you talk to any of my employees at lunchtime, I don't usually sit down and eat lunch. I'll walk around the house for like half an hour and not say anything, and just critique and like just look around and try to make things a little better. And that goes from when we're pouring concrete to drywall phase. I always try to come up with a new idea of some sort. And I feel like, some of my projects I get inspiration from Instagram and stuff like that. But it all comes with confidence at the end of the day, like I said before. And if you don't have the confidence to think you can design something like this, then it's not possible.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you said that you like to stay educated and that you hope that never goes away. And I think that's a huge part of building because codes are evolving all the time. There's new regulations that you have to contend with. Do you have any personal ways that you continually educate yourself? Any preferred methods?
I'd say the biggest one would be when I go into, like, for example, ProSol. It's a supplier for like tiling and stuff like that. When they have like reps there for like Weedy and Latacrete and stuff like that, I like to say, what do you think I should try? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like trying new things all the time. That be from waterproofing membranes to thin sets to even drywall mud. I've been trying this new mud. It's in a gray box. It's like added glue to it. And I just like doing different things and evolving the way I build. So every time I see a client, I can be giving them the best product I can possibly give them. And if you're not evolving with the times, because every single company is always producing new and better things. For example, 3M. 3M has a crazy budget in just involving their company and the science behind it. 3M, any product you get from them is really good, right? So that's what you have to look for and seeing what's new, what's coming out, and what makes this product so good.
And then obviously you are installing the latest and greatest and best products for your client, which they may not understand in the beginning, but when they're not having any issues 20 years later, it may have been because you had the right materials. You were educated to do what's current.
And a lot of older people say, oh, well, my dry pack methods worked for 30 years. There's no problem there. But I have a feeling those people aren't ripping up their dry pack, because every shower I rip up that's dry packed with their beds is filled with water. And it's like, that should not be happening, right? And you pull back, oh, I don't need to waterproof my shower. I can just use the blue board. Okay, yeah. Or when they say, oh, the tiles are waterproofing. You know, it's like these people aren't doing the research and looking into the science behind building. They're just looking at the appearance of it.
So the industry probably needs to do a better job at staying on top of the sciences behind things.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Do you think that continuing education can help solve that problem? Or do you think it's really up to the individual contractor to take that on themselves?
It's up to the individual. No matter how much you push the science and stuff behind it, because in George Brown, I had a class building science. No matter how much you push something, if no one's going to listen, then it's not going to work. You yourself need to look into it on your spare time. And that's another thing that got me, like, for 22, I'm not trying to be cocky, but I don't think I should know this much at 22. A lot of people at 22 still don't know what they want to do with their life. But at home, I would just do some research just because I felt like it. And then those are things that set me apart, is because I work, but it's not really work for me. I like learning about the science behind, for example, the sheathing. It's the Advanced Tech R value. It's got the 1-inch foam. I just liked looking into it. And, you know, building shows too. That's a huge part. A lot of contractors don't go to building shows, which I think are crazy, because you learn so much at these events. To bring it back to when I was in college, I skipped the first week of the new semester. I skipped to go to IBS in Orlando. And all these students are like, oh, he's just skipping school. Like, what a waste. You know what I mean? He's going to Orlando. I learned more in that 5 days or whatever I was there than I probably did that whole semester at that school. So people need to do more research on their spare time. That's bottom line.
Fair enough. You got to do it yourself. So we're here now, and it's been a couple of years for you. You're still a young guy. You've got a huge runway ahead of you. What does the future look like for Payne Contracting? Where does Jack see himself in the future? What do you want this to turn into?
I want to say it changes a lot. I don't have a specific path, but I like to just stick to my morals and just see where it kind of goes. But I'd like to get out of the renovating and more just into the home building. I think that's the best way to go for me personally, just because I enjoy it more. It has nothing to do with money or anything like that. I enjoy the home building, even though I feel like it's more stressful than renovating, but it's something different to me. And who knows, maybe I'll get into home building and get kind of tired of it and do something else. But at the end of the day, again, it just comes down to what I enjoy. And I hope that's just what I continue doing, is something that I like. Because if I lose interest in something, I won't continue doing it.
Well, it sounds like you've got enough passion behind you, and you're lucky to have found something that you really enjoy doing at such a young age. Like you mentioned, most people, they have no clue what they want to do ever, let alone at 22. And, I'm sitting here and I'm just, I'm in awe of what you're able to accomplish and the way that you carry yourself and how much you know. It's very cool to see. There's a couple little things I wanted to ask you that are just sort of quick answer questions as we make our way into wrapping up here. What tool can you not live without? What's your favorite tool on the site?
It would have to be the exact same answer as Kiefer's, and I'd say my cell phone.
Yeah.
Without my cell phone, this wouldn't be possible. Ask anyone that knows me. I'm on the phone constantly. I get 15, 20 emails a day, work related, and then 30 phone calls maybe between subs and clients. Without the phone and having it accessible with me everywhere I go, I would be behind. So I can live without a chop saw, but my phone is what I really need.
Okay. Besides the phone, what's your favorite tool to actually work with? We've got a few sitting over here. We've got some Festool stuff. There's a pack out. We got a radio.
I like the router. I like routers. I don't know. I just feel like it's like you're fabricating something. You're making something totally different. There's not one tool. I don't know. I like them all. But, but I'd say the router.
The router? Yeah. Cool, man. I like it. Do you read books at all?
I don't.
Not a book guy. That's fine. How about quotes? I mean, you mentioned that quote from your framer that kind of changed your mind. Is there anything else that has...
Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah?
I watch him and listen to him all the time. He's someone that anyone owning their own business should definitely watch. One thing that Gary said that I cherish as well. I know a lot of subs and people I know complain about their employees a lot. And he pretty much says, you can't expect your employees to work as hard as you because it's not their business. Obviously, my guys, they care about the business and they want to make me money, because they're making me money, then they're getting paid at the end of the day, right? So, but you can't expect your guys to work as hard as you. It's never going to happen. And if you have that expectation in your head, no employee is ever going to be perfect. That they should be working as hard as you, because if they're working as hard as you, they should have their own business, right? They're not going to be answering the phones all the time, and you know what I mean. But not everyone should own their own business, and it's okay to be an employee. At the end of the day, some of the smartest people I know are employees and don't have their own business, but that's just what they do. And a lot of people that work for someone make way more money than anyone having their own business. So it's not everyone is made to run their own business, and it's okay. Yeah.
I want to underscore that, because personally, for anybody listening that doesn't know my story, I'm going to be going on a podcast next week, and I'm hopefully going to share some of that story that people can listen to. But I had a contracting company for 5 years, electrical contracting company, and now I'm an employee. And sure, I have this podcast, and this is my creative outlet, and this is my way to have my own freedom to create something myself as if it was a business, and I treat it like a business, and I'm structured and organized in that regard. But just to go back to what you said, it was a very tough swallow when I had to have that conversation with my partner and move on and come from Vancouver to Toronto. The first thing that went through my mind, and that was repeated through my head for weeks, for months, was, you're failing. You have your Instagram followers, you have your friends and your family, you have all these people that you've been talking to for years saying that you're a business owner. And people like those two words, business owner. It makes them feel good. It pumps their ego up. What do? I own a business, right? I've got employees. I've got vehicles, right? And you feel powerful. You're like, yeah, I'm this busy. I own a company. And then to throw that away in a sense, or to decide that you want to take an alternate path. It was the biggest realization for me when I realized that it's not failure. I tried something. It wasn't for me at this point in time in my life. I moved on and I'm happier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
So you're right, 100%. Yeah. It's not for everybody. And if you're in a position where you're in a company now and you feel as though it's not for you and you start to do a disservice to your clients and your employees, it's probably time to hang it up. And it's okay to hang it up.
I think it all comes down to happiness at the end of the day. If you're not happy working for someone, maybe move jobs, go to someone else. But if it's not the actual boss, search your own thing, try it out, right? But you're not stuck in life. Everyone feels like they're stuck.
Yeah.
But there's always options out there. And it all comes down to happiness at the end of the day. If you're not happy, do something about it. Don't complain about it. Do something.
That's it.
Yeah.
You are the architect of your life, and it's up to you to make those changes for yourself. Is there anything that you want to leave the industry behind with right now? Any parting thoughts or words that you want to leave on the podcast for people to think about, or any asks of the audience?
I think everybody should if everyone did what they enjoyed, you would just be happier and pretty much care more about your job. If you're doing something about the paycheck, you're not living your life to the fullest. That's pretty much how I live my life, I think, is I'm a contractor because I enjoy it and not because I do it for the money. And that goes for anybody, employees or homeowners or business owners. Do something because you enjoy it. So if you're going through school, if you're young, I hate to say it, don't listen to your parents. Do what you want to do because you enjoy it, not because they've told you to become a doctor or a lawyer.
That's it.
That's it.
I love it. Well, where can people find you on Instagram? What's the best way to get in touch? Leave it behind for us here.
Pretty much just follow me on Instagram at Payne Contracting.
And how do you spell Payne Contracting?
Payne.
Okay.
Contracting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they can hit you in the DM on Instagram.
Any questions on Instagram or anything like that, let me know. I respond to pretty much everyone, unless you're a fake account asking me for money. So,
there's a lot of those going around, eh? Well, Jack, it's been awesome. You shared a lot with us today. I really enjoyed having you on, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap, everybody.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Tools of the Trade podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. For show notes, blog posts, resources, and access to our newsletter, check out toolspodcast.com.